Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Date Night with My Husband. I am Stephanie,
And I'm Joe.
and today we are going to be talking about what it's like to have 4 kids.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. There's a lot of good things about it and a lot of, I wouldn't say bad things, a lot of different things. I'm not going to say bad things because I feel like all of our children are a blessing in different ways. And I don't think we ever thought about having 4 children. I think that when we got together, we knew we wanted children, but I don't think that we knew that it was going to be 4 children.
I wanted a big family.
Yeah, I think, well, you came from a big family
Yes.
and you were always over your grandparents' house and stuff like that. And you were always hanging around cousins and stuff like that. But I only had one brother. So I always thought, the norm is just to have two. And now that we have 4 children, whenever we go out in public, I feel like a lot of people are like, wow, that's a lot of kids. But to me, it doesn't feel like it's a lot of kids.
No, I would say that you do get people that look at you, but it's more about how you're enjoying the time with them and getting through it. Like when you go into
Right.
the store, if you have one kid who's being crazy, it's way worse than if you have 3 kids that are being well behaved or 4 kids that are being well behaved. It's just how difficult is it going to be?
Right. So the first thing that we're going to touch on is family dynamics. And what are the joys of having 4 children?
So our oldest child is our daughter, and she is great about helping with her.
She's
young
7, by
brothers.
the way.
Yes, and we also have 3 boys after her, which is a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Our daughter Mackenzie, our 7-year-old, our oldest, is an absolute joy. She loves to play mommy, and she likes to look after her younger brothers, and she likes to help around the house. She's becoming more independent now, which natural with age. But we get to see her growing and taking care of them, which is always nice to have the extra help.
And then our 5-year-old son is really, really, really smart. And he's actually really, really good with his youngest brother, who's 2. And he's kind of taken that role as an older sibling as well, I think,
Yes.
where he's kind of following our 7-year-olds. And then our 3-year-old little boy,
Very independent.
very, very independent. He'll go up and play by himself and everything like that. And he's just so lovable. He loves life. He loves, everything. He loves his family and everything like that. So that's always nice to see. And it's growing now that he's gonna be 4 in a couple of months. So that's always nice to see. And then our 2-year-old, he is becoming more independent.
Terrible.
I think that by the 4th child, you're kind of used to the ages of 2 and 3. And even your 3rd child, if you're just thinking, if you have 2 children and you're thinking about even having one more, even that 3rd child, I think that a lot changes.
I would say that going from 2 to 3 was so much easier than going from 1 to 2.
Yeah,
I think
I do
that once you're used to managing a younger child and an infant, it's far easier if you're just adding another child on. I know that sounds weird, just adding a child on, but absolutely.
And we have a little bit of more of a unique circumstance because our oldest and second oldest are 2 years apart. Our second and third are 2 years apart. And then our third and fourth are 16 months apart. So not only do we have 4 children, we have 4 children who are close in age. I do have a lot of friends who have an older child and decide that they want to have another baby or whatever have you when they're 10 years old. So that's a different. But ours is a little bit more unique where we kind of just had child after child, and
The annual pregnancy.
I was pregnant every year for what it was, 5 years straight. Yeah,
Every calendar, yeah.
yeah. So I think that's pretty unique too. And, we were talking about our children's personality. I think one of the biggest joys of having multiple children is that each child has their individual personality and they add something different to the family. I think, and then them growing and becoming older they just kind of expand on that and it becomes more. So I think that's one of the joyous things about having 4 kids is the different personalities. Another thing I think is also great about having 4 kids is there's always something going on. I feel like there's never a dull moment in our house with our children.
Everyone's got something going on at least some point in the day. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And, them playing together is becoming more apparent now that we have 2 older children and 2 younger children. I think the older kids will take a younger kid and they'll kind of group off, which is also nice about having 4 children, is that they kind of pair off. It's not, a lot of times, it's not such a cluster of all of them.
They need someone to play a game with them, so they'll just grab a young one and be like, come on.
Right, exactly, exactly. Some of the challenges about having 4 kids. I think our biggest challenge would be sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And I think that as your children grow, you kind of get used to that and you adapt. I think that my thought before I even had kids was like 4 kids is way too much. But now that I do have 4 kids, and it can be overwhelming at times, I think I've adapted to a lot of stimulation in the house, a lot of being interrupted during cooking meals and prepping meals. And so I think that that's one of the downsides.
There's logistical challenges too. Like if you want to go to the store, it almost needs to be both parents going or not all the children going.
Right.
Because one adult with 4 children, you could throw the youngest in the carriage. You can have maybe the other one in the shopping cart too, and then the 2 oldest can walk. But if one of them darts off, panic attack. Like you got to hunt them down. You're constantly trying to deal with them grabbing at stuff like at a grocery store or whatever store you go to.
Yeah.
So that can be hard, and I've done it, quite a few times. But
he's the one that takes the children out. He'll take the 4 children out, especially when he was working. If you haven't seen our other video, my husband lost his job, and we did make a video of that. But now he's home while searching for another job. So if you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. But now that he's home, we can kind of break up the kids too a little bit more. Or he's the braver one that will take the kids to the store, all 4 of them. And I've never done that. I'll take them to the park early in the morning, like in the summertime. That's what I used to do when Joe was working, just to give him a little quiet time in the morning. But even going to the park alone with 4 children, it's becoming more usual for us now. So it's a little bit easier. You're kind of, again, the older children tend to pair up with the younger children. So that's really nice too.
for the most part, the older ones will listen to. If you say,
For sure.
okay, we're going to go to the park, you can, play over here, don't go over there. Or if they start to wander a little bit, you say, come back, they'll come back. But you're usually attached to the hip with one of the younger ones because you have to constantly monitor them. And just that's an age thing.
Hmm. And another thing too is we don't go out to dinner a lot. I don't think that we necessarily, if we even had 2 children, we would go out to dinner a lot. We're more of the let's cook at home type of people anyways. So that doesn't really bother me too much. But sitting down in a restaurant with a family of 6 and 4 young children, 7 and under, is a little bit difficult. We haven't done it in quite a while.
Besides even being, expensive, it is also hard because you don't want to be just throwing them on an iPad or on a cell phone while you wait for the food to come out and then eating as fast as you can to get none. You want to enjoy it. You want to have a family dinner at a restaurant. And unless you're going to a kid's restaurant, like a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, it's going to be really difficult to keep them focused and calm for long enough for the whole process. Because it's about an hour when you go out to eat. So that's a lot with 4 kids because one of them will start to get antsy and then it's almost contagious.
Mm-hmm. So I think Another joyous thing now talking about this, about having four children, is that we do have more family time because you do need two adults with four kids. So we tend to go out as a family, more so than not. So I think that even though it is kind of difficult taking them out in certain situations, it gives us more family time.
Oh yeah.
So those are some of the joyous things and some of the not so fun things, but we're going to go on to parenting strategies. Now, what I'm about to say, I think, is for two children or more. I think that when you have two children, three children, four children, or more, every child is different. So you're going to have a set of parenting strategies, or at least I think that we have a set of parenting strategies, but I think sometimes we have to adapt to each child.
Oh, definitely. I think that some children just don't respond to things the other ones. Like our daughter, if she's misbehaving, you can give her a stern look and she'll straighten right up. Our sons are a little bit more rebellious than that. I think that's just a boy girl thing, but it's you have to know what you can do for each one to get them to behave, and also so that you're giving them the proper attention so that they're developing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the most important thing, it doesn't really matter what strategy you use as long as both parents are on the same wavelength there. Because if she's trying something and I'm not on board, or I'm trying something and she's not on board, it's just going to fail. It's the classic, the kid will come in, I want a cookie. One parent says no, the other parent says yes because they didn't hear the other parent say no, or they just don't want to deal with it, so they just give the cookie. It undermines the other one, the other parent, and it just makes it difficult to have discipline and order in the house when both parents aren't on the same page.
For sure. And another thing that we tend to do, and we've been doing more of since we just had vacation for Christmas, and we're going to have a couple of days off in January and things like that, is spending time with each child individually.
Yes.
Because I think that when you have, especially four children, it's very difficult for you to pay attention to one child at a time unless you make space for that. So that's a big priority in our family, is spending time alone, each of us, with each of our children, at least once a day.
We'll do little dates too if there's like a big achievement, if they did really well in school or did something notable, then they can say, I want a date with daddy or I want a date with mommy, and we might go out for ice cream one on one, or do a movie, read a book just one on one with them. That way they get individual quality time. And the other thing I try to do is, if one of the kids asks me for time, I try to immediately give it to them. Um, just the other night, our oldest daughter, she asked if I could spend a few extra minutes with her before bed and just look at a book, and that's what we did. I had a few things I wanted to do, but I stopped myself from saying, "Oh no, we'll do it tomorrow," because tomorrow doesn't always come. So you got to make time when the kids want to have time too.
And they're only going to be little for so long.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it's a realization when you have a large family that we have our oldest is 7 and our youngest is 2. So just that age gap, I look at my 2-year-old and I'm like, I remember when my oldest was that age, and it seems like it was yesterday. So definitely making those family memories, and being mindful of your children and the time that they need is really, really important in our family.
And explaining to the children as well that because of their age differences, they are allowed different things. So our oldest, she gets to go to her friend's house unsupervised, or her friend can come over and they can spend time together. And our son is almost to that point, our oldest son. But we have to make him understand that he still needs supervision. We still need a parent going over when he goes to someone's house and things like that. So it's really just a matter of time, but also explaining to them that, oh, once you're a little bit older, you can do this. You can stay up a little bit later. You can, watch a movie on your own. So things like that, we try to make sure that they know where they're at and what they're allowed to do and be clear with it. So clear rules, I think, is always beneficial, and not too many rules either.
Exactly. So now we're gonna move on to my favorite part, logistics and organization.
Yes.
So I am a stay-at-home mom. So I tend to be, I figured out quick after I became a stay-at-home mom that organization is key. And that was just with two children. So this applies to whether you have two, three, or more. I mean, even one child. I think organization is a great idea.
I say schedule too, because you're great about keeping the kids on the schedule. Same thing on weekdays, same thing on weekends. You'll put up on a board, we have a whiteboard in our kitchen. She'll write out, what the goals are for the day, what time we're going to be doing what things, and it really helps. And then little things like getting the kids clothes ready at night for the next day. You actually do a really cool thing where you'll make a whole outfit, and we hang clothes up in the closet, but she'll have a whole assembled outfit for either school or play, and you just grab the hanger and go. But even just taking it out of the closet and putting it on the door,
It's their responsibility to do that.
yeah, they get to pick their outfit, and then they also will, get dressed on their own and things like that. And
Our
besides,
oldest is
yeah,
able to take her own showers now too, which is, I think that's so different for us. I
yeah,
came up this morning because I wake up around 4:30 in the morning, and then the kids get up at 6, and I go, "Hey, it's time to get ready for school." And my oldest goes, "I already showered and I'm already dressed." And it's so crazy to me because I feel like we're entering a new chapter for parenthood, you know?
yeah, they're
So
doing good.
yeah, I think they're doing really well. Yeah, so organization for me is a big thing for myself as well. I think that not keeping so many toys out is really good. They keep very minimal toys in their room because their room is for sleeping. We rotate toys every couple of weeks or so. When we rotate those toys, we go through those toys that maybe they haven't been using, and we do donate them. We do a lot of donation, including clothes. The clothes thing, hanging up their clothes and making an outfit.
Another great thing you do too is colors. So the kids, we do like the child safe like plates and cups and spoons, but we found different colors. So our daughter is pink, our oldest son is blue, our next oldest is green, which he calls the Levi color, and then the our youngest is going to be red, but we had to get brown for one set. But regardless, they all have their color. So when they go to sit down at the table, they'll see their color and they'll know what spot to go to. Because that's one of the things that does switch up. Because sometimes they want to sit next to mommy or daddy or sit here or sit there. So little things like that just make everything a little bit easier. Where if it's a plate of snacks on the table, they know it's their plate of snacks versus their brother's, and then you can avoid that fight sometimes.
Right. Another thing that I tend to like to do, since I am a stay-at-home mom, is I have days where I clean certain things. I really like to spend a lot of time with my 2-year-old. At 2, I feel like they're grasping colors a little bit more, and they're saying a lot more at 2 years old. So I really like to spend a lot of time with him, whether it's going for a walk or whatever have you. So I enjoy my cleaning, but I keep it to a bare minimum so that way I can spend that time with him. I also try to do one load of laundry and fold one load of laundry every single day. You got to imagine with 4 kids, and there's just so much laundry. So what makes it
There's a load of
easier?
laundry every day being put into the basket.
Right, which, right now, having Joe home is very helpful. So that is actually something, that's being taken care of too. And our children, our older children, and our 3-year-old, and all of our children are able to do chores now, which they absolutely love. They absolutely love. My 5-year-old is so excited when he gets to clean off the dishes because he feels like he's helping out the family. And I think over the last month of us doing that, I think it it develops their independence and they're supporting their family in a certain way.
It's good to have responsibilities around the house.
Exactly. Yeah. That and my older two keep their room clean without, I just tell them, you need to pick up your room. And then with our 3-year-old, we're teaching him how to make his bed and everything like that. So he'll get it, but he needs a little bit more guidance as well as our 2-year-old. So, and also organization. What else do we want to say about organization? Oh, the last thing I want to talk about with organization and kind of logistics and everything like that is that when we tell our friends and family that our children are in bed at 6:30, people are kind of like blown away. But this has been a thing since my oldest is younger. We feel like them being in bed now, our 7 and 5-year-old can stay up and read books and they can color, but they need to be in their beds by 7:30. Our oldest is a little bit, if she's up a little past 7:30, I'm not too concerned about that because she does wake herself up in the morning. But they need to be in their rooms and it's quiet time. It's time to wind down, read a book. You can color, whatever have you. You can play quietly. You can listen to your books on Amazon. But that is consistency. People always ask me, how do you get your kids into bed at 6:30? It's consistency.
Yeah.
It's winding down at 6 o'clock in reading books and
having an early dinner, making sure that we're always eating dinner no later than 5:30, making sure that everything's cleaned up, that they do have like that maybe a little TV time, brain breaks, or what have you.
Right.
And just once they are in their rooms, and we might do, like my youngest, the 2-year-old, he likes to watch football at night, so I'll watch old football games with him, or if there's a game on, I'll show him a little bit of it. But things like that just help them stay on schedule and then decompress and right before bed.
Right, exactly. And we always teach them if they, say, oh, I don't want to go to bed. We teach them the importance of good sleep because we have noticed a difference if we do let them stay up. Like over Christmas break, we did let them stay up until about 7:30. And we've noticed a difference in their behavior because our children are still getting up at 6 o'clock, even if they go to bed at 8 o'clock. Our children are just early wakers naturally. And I think that by having them have quiet time and get them into bed earlier definitely helps with their mood. It helps them in school. It helps them focus so much more. And they get their own individual alone time as well. So I think that by consistency and making a routine of something, that's how you could maybe get your kids into bed at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Now on Fridays, we often go to our neighbor's house and do movie nights. So we know that on Saturday, it's going to still be an early bedtime because they're going to need to make up for that. But we do allow for fun. It's not like they're going to bed every single night at 6:30, just on school nights and, nights where we really think that they need a little extra. And you can tell when your kid need a little extra sleep.
Crankier.
You can definitely tell. Yeah. So, logistics and organization. So, financial considerations. Well, I think having any child is expensive nowadays. I think that having 4 children, I think that we've adapted fairly well to that financially, even with our financial setback. You also have to think that we always had 2 kids in diapers in different sizes. So diapers and wipes was a must have. I know a lot of people use cloth diapers. We did not. We used regular we used regular diapers. So I think that was hard, but I think that we've kind of grown accustomed to the financial.
Yeah, it's there are certain things that become much more difficult to do even before I lost my job, like a family vacation. If you're planning a family vacation, you can't put 4 kids in a hotel room. Like you have to rent a place, things like that. If you're going to go to Disneyland, I think if two people it'd be like $10,000 or whatever. With four additional children, the prices become unmanageable. So you have to plan what you're going to do for things like vacations, Christmas. We have to do Christmas shopping months ahead of time. We spread it out throughout the year, which this year was actually very helpful, especially with the job loss. It's one of those things where if you're always doing a little bit of financial planning around the children, it will pay off big in the long run. Like when I was a kid, my family struggled, and like things like money for field trips or school events was always hard to come by. So I always make a big point to make that money available for them because that's very important to me. And but you have to plan it out. So if we see that, oh, the kids are going to have a book fair, we'll set aside some money a week or two in advance. That way it's there when we need it, and it's not like, oh, do we have it, and things like that. So it is expensive, but it's well worth it. And
Yeah, and another thing that we also do is we also make a lot of our own snacks. Like that doesn't mean that we don't buy snacks from the store. I mean, please, we have four kids.
Yeah.
But we usually have a day where we make bread and muffins and our homemade granola and homemade granola bars. And in September, we made our own applesauce and things of that nature, things that the kids would really want to eat. When we get our groceries, we cut them up right away so that way they can, have fresh carrots and stuff like that. So I think that's how we save a little bit of money too, is by making our own things. You're spending money on the ingredients, but the ingredients will last you a while if you use them the right way. So,
yeah.
I think it's always going to be a factor when you're having a large family, but I feel like we don't even think about it. We just kind of adjust it to it.
And there's things too like hand-me-downs where um, with three boys, we'll buy a shirt. If the shirt lasts, it'll go to the next boy, and then maybe even the next to the youngest as they grow out of it, and the others grow into it. But then we're always making sure that just the youngest children aren't just getting the hand-me-downs; they're also getting new clothes as well, things like that. So again, you plan around that. You see who needs what. If someone needs pajamas, you go out and buy them pajamas, or um, again, you got to figure those things out. But as long as you pace yourself and you're not trying to do everything all at once, like, oh, we're gonna buy everyone an all new wardrobe. That's a crazy amount of money. But oh, the youngest needs a T-shirt, or the oldest needs a new pair of pants or shoes. Blah 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 blah. You can space that out and get it as you need it, and then it becomes a lot easier.
Right, for sure. All right, our next topic is support system. All right, so support system. We actually live about an hour and a half away from all of our family.
Yeah. Which it's very difficult because if you have family close by and you're close with them, then you always have that babysitter or someone you can reach out to. If we had an emergency, it becomes like we've had to take the children on occasion to the ER for different things, or to doctor's appointments, which means one parent's going to stay home with the other children and one parent's going to go. And just being able to do that on our own is sometimes difficult, like calling out of work or leaving work early. Those things come up and we deal with them. It is nice though to have family come up and visit, and we'll make the trip down to see them. And the kids are at the age now where once we get to family's house, they can kind of all spread out and play with their cousins or what have you.
Over the past year or so, we have really grown close to our neighbors, and we have great neighbors. So that has been a huge relief for us, because you have other adults to hang out with when you're not near your family. And we didn't realize how important that was until we would go over and we could bring our kids over. So I think that has been great. When you don't live near your family and you don't like we're not interested in hiring a babysitter per se. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's just not the avenue that we would want to take. We would we would let somebody watch our kids if they were friends and things like that. But you also have to think that we haven't had a date night and go out for a very, very long time. It
We do our date nights, but it's different. It's in the house. We'll maybe order out for just us. We'll make a dinner for the kids,
Right.
and then we'll eat separately. We'll watch a movie. We'll have time just for each other.
Yeah,
And
which I think is important to the family system. I think it's important also for the children because when, they're sleeping when we have our date nights, but just to have, mom and dad be a little bit closer. A lot of times on our date nights we talk about, how are things going? How's work going? What do we see is going on? Do we want to plan something? So that closeness with mom and dad, I feel like is really, really important for the whole family unit. And I think about it too. I don't think I'm okay with having date nights at home. Like it's actually really fun. And I would rather do it over than going out and having a date night and having somebody watch our kids.
yeah, it's about the quality of the time, not where you're spending it.
Exactly.
And I, you know, we could go to a movie and sit in a theater and be quiet and not talk to each other, just be sitting next to each other. Or we could have a movie and watch it in bed, and we can be laughing and telling jokes, and we can pause the movie and talk about parts of it, or just things like that. A lot of the experience is more about the person you're with than where you're doing it. So I think that's one of the things we really realized. And as the kids get older, we will be able to,
That's what I think about a lot.
venture out more and
This
go
isn't
out
our time to go out and, go to the casino or
to the
go out to
bar or wherever.
go out to dinner. I mean, we're just really, really enjoying our family. And that may seem boring to some people. And if you get a babysitter, that's great. But for us, I think personally, I don't know, I like the way that things are. And I think that we're growing, as a family unit and as a couple too.
Absolutely.
So our last topic is personal growth. Now, I think that we've had individually a lot of personal growth and also as a married couple, a lot of personal growth with each child. I think that with each child, you learn something different about yourself. Each child is going to, you know,
challenge you
in different ways, which is kind of exciting if you think about it, because you get to learn different things about yourself.
I would absolutely agree. I think it's important that for your personal growth, you have goals for yourself, but also goals as you develop with your partner, whether it be reading more or, you know, just long-term goals. Like we mentioned in our other video that we're interested in homesteading, and that's something where we can learn about it together. We can see what we would want, things like that. Um, those are the things that you do together because you need to be aiming at the same goal. If I'm trying to become an astronaut and you want to become a rancher, we might not be on the same path, so we might need to realign. So again, it's one of those things where you need to constantly be communicating, and what you want to do with yourself should align with what you and your couple, your spouse, your significant other, are working towards as well.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that all of my children have taught me the most valuable lesson, and it's love.
Oh, yes.
With every single child, I love them, just love them. There was no, oh, my firstborn was the love. Like some people think that having more than one child, you're never going to love your second or third child as much as the first. And
no,
it's so not true.
They're completely different people.
For sure.
So that's, you love your spouse, you love your children, you love them individually for who they are. And it's great because the older they get, the more their personality develops, and you get to see how they're like you, how they're how they're different from you, and you can see what they're working towards too. Our daughter, she wanted to be an astronaut for a couple of years actually.
Yeah.
And more recently she wants to be a Minecraft character. But regardless, like everybody, has these personal goals, especially when you're a child, you're interested in different things, and we try to foster their interests and get involved in them as well. So it helps us grow and learn, and it helps them as well.
And I think that we can also, it's fun having a lot of kids because then you get to be a kid again.
Oh yeah.
I think that sometimes with parenting, in my case, I think for a while I took it so seriously. And now within the past year, I'm loosening up and playing with the kids more, even more than I was, because it's not like I wasn't playing with the kids, but I'm loosening up and trying to be a kid again and not worrying about the little small stuff, because there's always going to be small stuff. Again, if you have one or four, there's always going to be those little small things. And sometimes it's good to just catch yourself and be mindful and say, it's not that big of a deal. Let's carry on. Let's have fun, because that's the goal. I heard a quote saying that this is your bad day, but this is your kid's childhood. And it's true. We all have our bad days, but at the same time, sometimes we just have to put that away for a little while and know that it's okay to have a bad day. You're very valid in your feelings, but to carry on and maybe try and get your mind off of it and just be a kid again. It's fun.
Your bad day doesn't need to ruin someone else's day.
Yeah.
Even if they're causing your bad
day. Well, thank you so much for watching episode 2. If you have any comments, please leave them below, or if you have any questions, please leave them below. And as always, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.